Welcome back to the Flame and the Flood Animal Friend Trophy Guide. We're playing a full campaign run of the game without killing any animals for the Animal Friend Trophy. We're about more than halfway through the campaign here. We're in region 6 of 10. And as I said at the end of the last video, we just pulled up to an island, and we hadn't really gotten off the raft, or at least gotten off the dock yet. But here you're going to see me walk on the island, find a wolf and a bear. I think it's probably a pack of wolves. Oh, it looks like just one wolf at the moment. And because the bear is going to start attacking the wolf, I'm going to freak out and I'm going to restart. And the reason I did this is because, as I mentioned, this is my second time playing through the full list of trophies on a second account. And the first time I played it was a year ago. I did not recall whether or not I had known the first time whether or not animals could die during this run, but here I was led to believe that if an animal died, even without you causing the animal harm, setting a trap, throwing it tainted meat, shooting an arrow at it, so on and so forth, even if you weren't the one that caused the animal to die, that it still voided the trophy for you. This far in the campaign, I thought it was too much of a risk, so I restarted and went on my way. But we will see later on when we get to Angel Yards, which is the 7th region, and it's a small progression island. We're just going to go on. It's going to be one island. We're going to run through a gauntlet of animals and come to the end of the island where there's going to be a little bit of a surprise for us there. I don't think there's a way to get through that island without either killing animals yourself or having one of the animals kill at least one of the other animals. We'll look at that a little bit more in detail when we get there. But that's the point where I kind of realized during this run through that we're just going to have to throw caution to the wind and let animals fight amongst themselves. And if in the process we can get our hands on some meat and some animal skins, then we will be better off for it. But we have about 20 minutes before we reach that realization. So in the meantime, most of what we're going to be looking at today is the same basic run-of-the-mill campaign run that we've been looking at in the past. You know, we just in the last video we talked about bears. We talked about how a torch is helpful. We're gonna see more bears, and we're gonna see more torch action on our way to Angel Yards, and we're also going to see another hypothermia case that we're going to solve by using our stove to make sure we stay warm, because we're not going to have any new animal hides to create outfits, at least for the next 20 minutes or so. But other than that, we're not going to see anything that's going to be that much different that we're going to need to talk about and talk through. So on our way to Angel Yards, as we're looking at garlic, and we got some night crawlers in our inventory. We're mostly full up here. I figured we could pass the time on our way to Angel Yards, talking through pretty much every single trophy in the game that we haven't talked about yet. I have the trophy guide here from PlayStationTrophies.org. A great website. If you're not familiar with it, check the website out. Pretty much every trophy guide you could ever need for PlayStation is on there, and if it's not, let us know. We'll write one up for you. So anyway, I got the trophy guide here in front of me. I'm just going to go through the trophies while we sail down the river here. The platinum's called Eagle, and as you can see, it takes a little bit of time to get there. 2 campaign runs, because with this campaign run you can't kill any animals, and then the other campaign run, which will more than likely be your first run. This is normally done on the second time around, but if you've chosen to do it the other way around, good for you. But another campaign run where you'll need to get trophies for killing animals using the bow and arrow, using various methods to kill the animals and to survive, and to make full wolf skin outfits and bear skin outfits, and so on and so forth. So pretty much mandatory to do 2 runs. And then there's the endless run, which you're going to have to play on endless for 200 miles, and then you're going to need to do a short second endless run where you're going to have to spend 20 days without killing any animals, much like this campaign run. So you're looking at the endless takes about probably 10 hours for the 200-mile run. The campaign itself, we're looking at about 5 hours here that I ran through it. So that's another 10 hours for both runs. And then the final endless run is pretty short. If you set yourself up correctly, you could probably just sleep through the 20 days if you have enough meat or plants, plant-based food, and if you have enough raft upgrades or whatever you decide to bring along in Aesop's bag when you start your second endless run, to make things go faster and be more efficient. And that should only take you a couple hours at the most. So you're looking at about 25 hours at least to play through the whole game. As I said, this is one of my top games that I've played over the last year. This and Death Stranding are 2 of my favorites from the last year, and have both been kind of therapeutic to play during what was quite a year, 2020, and the end of 2019. So again, Death Stranding is another game that's a lot of just doing the same thing over and over again, and collecting things and delivering things and so on and so forth. So again, that's my cup of tea. It might not be everyone's cup of tea, but with that in mind, it may take you under 25 hours to play through if you just want to go straight to the platinum, or if you're enjoying it as much as I do, you might want to spend some more time with the game. I do want to point out that I just lit the torch, which again is something that I've talked about over and over again in these videos, and so you can see how the wolves kind of keep their distance from you. You can see the little ring around Scout when she had it lit. And we are going to have that lit at night later on in the run. And you're going to see how the snakes react to that as well. So keep an eye on that. So, as I said, about 25 hours to play through the game. I figured we could just talk through the trophies. The first one in the list is Chatty. That's to speak with every river resident. So we have talked about most of these. In fact, I think I've named them all. The Feral Children, Flim Flam, Magnolia, Cocteau, who's the Gravedigger, Quincy Collie, which we're going to see in about 10 or 15 minutes here, and Helen Cockrow, who is the old woman with like the shades and the rifle that hangs out. She usually hangs out in a it's sometimes, I think she shows up in a farmstead island, and sometimes she's at like a campfire island, or maybe even a wilderness in one of the first few regions. It's very rare that you'll probably see her in the late game because she's normally located in a house and with a campfire or with a lot of supplies and things, and she always offers you to sleep in her house and to use her fire and things like that. Quincy is very good at fixing rafts, and if you see him in the Endless run, as I mentioned in the last video, if you need any repairs done to your raft, if you've damaged it at all, he will offer to fix it free of charge, which is always great. Cocteau is the Gravedigger, usually found in front of a church with the grave sites that are normally in front of the church in those locations. And he normally just passes on information, a little bit of story, and hearsay and rumor. He may offer you an item when you meet him, but I feel like he's mostly just a conversation. I don't think he gives you much. Magnolia is the old woman, looks kind of like a witch. She's normally at the gas stations, because many of the gas stations are called Magnolia gas stations. So I guess the idea is that she owns all of the gas stations in this world. Who knows? But she normally in the campaign, she'll teach you about snake bites and other afflictions, and how useful dandelion and sumac tea is. And in the Endless run, very useful if you have any afflictions, whether it's a cut, staph infection, food poisoning. She will offer to help you with that, and if you agree, she'll make all that go away for you. Flim Flam we saw at higher ground in region 4 before we climbed up to the radio tower, and he will every time you see him, he will offer to trade you an item for another item. And as I mentioned before, usually what he has to give you is not nearly as good as what he wants from you. The Feral Children almost always will offer you arrows, both in the campaign and in Endless. They have offered me other things in the past. Probably in Endless they probably offer you different items now and again, but I feel like in the campaign they always offer you arrows. So once you meet all of them, which should happen during a normal campaign, because at least 2 of them are scripted to be in certain areas, and the others are they're not as hard to bump into during a campaign run. So you should see all of them. If not, you will definitely see all of them in an endless run. We just got a snake bite, and I decided to restart the island. Again, I probably didn't have dandelion tea. I probably just didn't want to bother with it. I probably got to the point where I was like, it wasn't worth using resources for that, so we'll just restart from that island and just be a little bit more careful. The next trophy is one that I have still not received on this account, and it's causing me a little bit of problems. I should mention, just a few hours ago, I finished my 200-mile run of Endless. We're very cold here. We're going to get hypothermia in about 2 or 3 minutes. I finished my Endless 200-mile run, and towards the end of the run, I was trying to get the... I'd set it up and planned to die of hypothermia at the end of the 200-mile run. And I went through 200 miles. Once I got the trophy, I took off all of Scout's warm garments that she was wearing, and I just kind of sailed off for a few islands and waited for hypothermia to kick in. And once Scout died of hypothermia, I still didn't get the trophy. I don't have no idea which death I missed, but you need to get killed by a bear, killed by a boar, killed by a wolf, killed by snakes, by snake bites. You need to die of starvation, exhaustion, dehydration, hypothermia. You need to drown. Your raft needs to crash, basically, and get a health meter of 0, and then you're just stuck in the water and you drown. And then sepsis, which you need to get a cut or a laceration and leave it alone until it becomes sepsis and you finally die. All those ways, and if you die all those ways, you should get learned the hard way. I know I've died every single one of those ways. Maybe one of those animal attacks I haven't gotten yet, but I'm still waiting for that to kick in. So I'm gonna be heading back into. We'll see. Here's the hypothermia. See, with this hypothermia, it didn't hit me until I was already on there. I was already about to start up the stove, so not as close as the first time, which happened in the previous video. But again, it's at this point, because you don't have wolf hide, you don't have bear hide, you don't even have boar hide clothing, you absolutely need to get the stove on your raft by the time you get to region 5 or 6, because the temperature is going to really wear you down. So keep an eye on that. Yeah, I have not been able to get this learned the hard way trophy yet on this account. I'm going to keep trying it, and if I figure out what I got wrong, maybe I'll make a short video showing all the deaths. The Gray is the next video on the list, and that is simply kill a wolf, which obviously we can't do in this playthrough, but on your normal campaign, you'll have to kill probably hundreds of wolves, because there's a lot of wolves in this game. There's probably, because you can come up against 1 or 3 wolves every time you get on an island, there's probably more wolves by number than there are boars, but sometimes it feels like there's a boar on every island, and he may or may not chase you, but when he does, he's just annoying. But wolves are everywhere, and if you get a chance to kill one, you'll get the Gray. Forager, eat every type of plant. So it's fairly easy because you're gonna see most of these plants, especially in the beginning. You're gonna get access to farms and the bait shacks, which normally have most, if not all, of the different types of plants. Yuccas, cattails, which we just grabbed there, dandelions, which are very, very prevalent. There's usually dandelions on every 2 or 3 islands. Wild garlic, which that's probably one of the more rare plants. And not only that, it's so small. It's like dandelion is probably smaller, but when there's dandelion on an island, there's 5 or 6 patches of it. But wild garlic will just be a tiny little sprout sticking up out of the ground, and you may not notice it when you walk by it. So keep an eye on that. I think it's 5 points of nutrition to eat it. I don't think garlic ever spoils. I don't remember it ever spoiling on me. And if, speaking of spoils, if you have any of these plants that you get that do spoil, they will turn into moldy lump. There's also moldy lump is easy enough to find in the first 2 or 3 regions. I'm sure you'll come across a little moldy lump because the game makes sure that you can get at least 2 pieces of moldy lump so you can make penicillin, because you'll need that at some point. And then corn. And corn I've only been able to find in 2 places. On the farms, sometimes you'll find 3 to maybe 6 stalks of corn, which is great. And also the tiny little islands that you sail by on your raft will sometimes have corn, like 1 ear of corn. You need 2 ears of corn to make an ash cake, but you could simply just eat 1 for this trophy. And as I mentioned in the last video, kind of silly how they set this up. Again, here we are at a bait shack, plenty of different plants there, yucca, and you know what's not on this list, and I think you do need to eat it, devil's trumpet, which is used to make tainted meat or tainted bait, whether it's cooked or uncooked meat. You blend that together and you use that to kill wolves. I believe you need to eat that in order to get the Forager trophy. That's not on the list that I'm looking at here. And as I said, corn. I mentioned in the last video, 2 points of nutrition for 1 ear of corn. If you blend 2 together to make ash cakes, it's 20 points of nutrition. Corn spoils in 10 days. Ash cakes never spoil. Doesn't make a lot of sense. And the next trophy is Stay Warm, which is build a campfire. You could either craft one, or you could use the campfire that you get as a reward for creating a stone knife and stone hammer. We're going to look at a few more trophies in a few minutes, but first we are about to roll into the next region. And here we are at the yard, and I don't want to spoil anything for you if this is your first run through, so we'll just watch what happens here. But I just want to, you know, if you're playing along, which I would never suggest playing along while watching this, but I would hesitate to tell you to restart if something happens while you're playing and sailing down the river. Once you see the yard come up, because this is all scripted and it's supposed to happen this way. Let's just watch this transpire here. And Scout died. Oh well. And of course she didn't die. Here we are at Angel Yards, and we're about to meet someone who's going to help us out a little bit that we just talked about before, Quincy Colley. Angel Yards always has a workbench. It has a ton of sapling, and it has a ton of supplies here. There's a couple buses you can sleep in. There is going to be plenty of rags, alcohol, bandages, splints, dandelions. I don't remember if there's a water spout so you can make yourself dandelion tea, but basically it's set up with everything that you'll need, because there are snakes, there are wolves, and there is one more animal at the end that if you haven't stumbled upon yet, you get to meet your first bear. Now, of course, as this video started, we did see a bear, and chances are you will stumble upon a bear before you get here. But as you can see, our raft is ruined from running through those rocks, and there was no choice. There was nowhere else to go. You can't get away from that. That's definitely going to happen to you. And I'm just kind of collecting things. You can still put things on your raft at this point, and you can take things from the raft if you want to put them in your inventory. The game, acts like it normally does with your inventory and moving things around. So you don't need to worry about that. You don't need to plan for that before you get here. You won't lose access to anything you have on the raft for this part of the story. Just talk through what's going on with this guy. Now, as I said, there's tons of crates with lots of stuff. Flints, saplings. You can make arrows. You can make traps for the animals. And at the end, we have a rocket. We have a rocket on top of what I believe is a train station. I'm sorry, not a train station, a TV station. Stitching kits, flints, plenty of crows. So in your normal campaign, if you wanted to create arrows, if you wanted to create a bow at the workbench back there, plenty of saplings, and I do see a water spout there. There's no fire on this island, but at this point you could probably create a campfire and set it up before you get too far down towards the other end of the island, because you're going to come upon a couple predatory animals here. The crows were announcing to the wolves that you're here, I believe. I don't think there's any boars. I don't think I'm going to be proven wrong, but if there were any boars, you'd be able to use the boar to keep the wolves busy, and possibly allow you to get to the other end of the island without having to worry about anything. But instead, I got a torch here, and there's going to be some snake movement here in a minute, I believe. Yeah, see how the snakes are coming right for me? They see me, they're coming towards me, and they don't really want to stop. They don't really want to stop. That fire draws them closer. So here we are at the other end of the island. Now there's a note right next to where that bear is, and you're supposed to read that note. And meanwhile, the bear is starting to attack the wolves. So as I said, at this point I was like, I don't really know how you can get through that without either killing the wolves yourself before you get to the bear, or just letting nature take its course. So I decided at that moment, okay, it happened, and it's the progression of the story. So I can't stop it, So we've read the note. We know where we're going next. We talk to Quincy here, and he's fixed our boat for us. Just a side note, if again, it's a little bit random, you can kind of guess by the mileage and the amount of days you've been playing. Looks like we're about 25 miles, 17 days. So when you get about close to this time and mileage in the game, you know, if you have banged up your raft a little bit, I would say don't bother too much worrying about spending nuts and bolts and lumber on small repairs of your raft, if you know that eventually you're going to crash the raft and Quincy's just going to fix it up for you. So keep that in mind. But so with this new information, we may see a little bit a change in my activity here with the animals. We may start using the animals against each other. This region, Region 8, is a good region to use the bears against any other animals, because normally these desolate wasteland islands are really flat. There's not much on the island, especially concerning vegetation, you know, plants, anything that you can use to eat. So at this point in the game, it's going to get colder, even though it looks like a desert, and it's going to be harder to find substitutes for meat. So you're going to need meat and you're going to need animal skin. So eventually we're going to go into survival mode here and allow nature to take its course, like we just saw it do in at Angel Yards. So we have a boar here. Picked up another gold small game. I think that is for, it's not for killing a rabbit, but I don't know, and unfortunately I don't look it up. Campfire obviously protects us even from a pesky old boar. Campfire does not protect you against bears, though. I at least from my experience, if a bear is chasing you, running into a campfire, I guess the bear is so big he doesn't care about that ring of fire. He won't certainly just surprise you and come at you while you're hanging out at a fire, because bears don't really strike first. They kind of wait for you to instigate before they come after you. But I've definitely had a run-in with a bear once or twice where I, not while I was holding a torch, but at least with a campfire, and the bear has attacked me even while I was in that ring of fire. Some more cattails and so forth. I haven't really previewed the rest of this video here. We have about 12 minutes left, so I'll be talking a little bit about some more of the trophies on the list while we run through, but I may pause now and again to talk about what's going on screen. So we finished talking about Learn the Hard Way and dying all those different ways. Again, still have not gotten that. We got Gray, we got Forager, Stay Warm, which again, I'm not sure. I think it works either way. You can build a campfire using a piece of lumber, a tinder, and a flint, or you can grab the one as the reward for the stone, knife, and hammer that you can get from the little mailbox there. Watch out for those snakes. A mechanic, repair 1,000 points of raft damage. I convinced myself that it had to be all in one run, because I had played the campaign quite a number of times, and I think I'd have to go back and check the time signature on the trophy for this account. I feel like I got it during this run at some point, but I didn't bother putting it into this video, because of course Share Factory doesn't show you when the trophies pop. You have to put them in separately, but it apparently is cumulative, and I thought it had to be all in one run, because I've done hundreds of points of raft health upgrades, putting nuts and bolts and lumber back into the raft to fix it up after hitting rocks or sides of the islands and things like that. But eventually, after about 3 campaign runs, is when I finally hit 1,000 points. Unless it was the very beginning of my endless run. Maybe that's when it happened. Maybe that's why I don't remember it happening here. Next trophy is I've Been Everywhere, Man. I believe that's a Bob Dylan song lyric. I don't know. But that is to visit every location. The marina, which you are definitely going to visit hundreds of times in every one of your runs. The camps, as I said before, definitely should be the first place you go in every campaign and endless run, so you can get your flints, you can start making your stone knife, your stone hammer, so on and so forth. The clinics, they're normally in region 5, I think, and after, but they are more rare than some of the other shops that you first see in those regions. So look out for those and certainly visit them when you can. Churches are very prevalent, and church and camps are the most common, other than the marina and wilderness, that you'll see in every region that you play through. Even on endless, when you get to 80 miles down the river on endless, all you see is wilderness. You will still see spatterings of camps and churches, and you will always see marinas. They're always every probably 5 or 6 miles, so that you don't ever run into a problem with your raft. Wilderness, you're definitely going to see a lot of wilderness from the beginning of the campaign to the very end, and you will see a ton of it when you get to your endless run. Gas stations, sometimes called Magnolia's stations, and those are great too, because once you get the motor, the gas stations have 2 different gas tanks that you can fill your jars up with. So if you're looking to get as much gas as possible so you can run your motor as long as possible, the gas stations will allow you to do it 2 times. Here at the marina, you can only fill up 1 jar at a time. The bait shacks, as we've talked about many times, good for places, good for stitching kits, good for certain plants. Also, sometimes you can find grubs and night crawlers there, because it is a bait shack. Hardware stores are usually start appearing in region 5. Good for nuts and bolts, good for lumber, good for other items you need like rags and so forth. And then hardware stores also have workbenches, which allow you to create things like leather kits, bow and arrow. There's 1 or 2 other items you can only make the workbench, and they're not coming to mind at the moment. Liquor stores are good if you need alcohol for torches, bandages, and so forth. They usually have rags. Sometimes you'll find already made splints or bandages there. And farms. Farms are the other rare area. They are normally in the beginning of the campaign, is the only time you're going to see a farm. Region 1, 2, maybe region 3, but probably only region 1 and 2. Farms have a well that you can get clean water out of. They normally have a lot of plants. One of the two places you can find corn, and they normally have like a tractor on it, and sometimes like a broken down foundation of what looks like a broken down brick house, or maybe, you know, a barn or a farm. So look out for those. And once you have walked onto one of each of these locations, you should get I've Been Everywhere, man. Pay it forward. Start a new game with items in Aesop's bag. So I mentioned at the top of the first video that I had tried to make this happen for this campaign run. We are playing on Traveler, which is the not necessarily easy mode, but maybe it's easy mode. The other option, the other mode you can play on for both the campaign. No, I don't think you can pick. You can't pick which mode on Endless. So for the campaign, Traveler, which allows you to restart from the previous region or the current region you were in when you die, or Survivalist, which makes you restart from the very beginning. If you're playing on Survivalist during the campaign and you die, anything that's in the dog's bag, Aesop or Daisy, if you decide to make that choice, will carry over. If you die during Traveler difficulty, I have to point this out. Okay, so here we stumble upon the Elder Wolf. We have been playing about 40 minutes into this video. We have one more video to go, and we only have about 3 more minutes of this video left. This Elder Wolf is going to become our best friend, and he's going to help us out. He's going to definitely make getting through the rest of this campaign run easier, because he is going to pretty much follow us to almost every single island until we reach the 10th region. We're going to see him a lot. And what's great about the Elder Wolf, as we talked about with the White Wolf before him, he will pursue you, but if he gets scared, he will disappear, and then you don't have to worry about him. 90% of the time that you come onto an island with one of these rare items, rare animals, they're the only animals on there. So from here on out, for the most part, all we have to worry about is avoiding one very big, very scary wolf, and just staying out of his way or scaring him off so that he disappears. And even if we shot an arrow at him or threw some tainted meat at him, he wouldn't die from it. He wouldn't eat the meat. He would just get scared away. But from here on out, we're gonna use other animals if they are on the island to scare the Elder Wolf away, and we're generally just gonna sidestep his pursuit up until the very end of this run. So keep that in mind. We have about a minute and a half, a little less than a minute and a half left, so I don't know how many islands we're gonna end up going through before this video is over. But keep that in mind, and if you happen to luck out like I did, which is probably not likely, use that to your advantage and just keep moving forward. Now, the good news is I had enough food to keep me going. Yeah, watch out for this too. This is it's fairly rare, but sometimes there'll be patches of the river that look like rapids, but they're actually really super slow waters you can get kind of stuck in. So, okay. I guess we'll end it there for now, and we'll look at the rest of the run. Thanks again for watching. See you next video.